Hello everybody and welcome back to Matura Express. My name is Timna and today we are going to show you two exams. So, as I just said, today we're going to go through two exams on the topic of tolerance. Which I will go through with you and show you what they look like first, and then we're going to kind of practice how an exam works with my colleague. So, the first exam that I have here for you, if we can switch over. No, yes.
Sorry.
That's okay. So, the first oral exam I have here for you today is on the topic of tolerance and upbringing. So the introduction is basically the same as always. You will be asked some questions about your career, future exams, etc., etc. And then it goes on to task 1. So, task 1 is about tolerance in our modern world. As always, it's a monologue and you have to play a role. So, your situation is you work at a kindergarten that focuses on teaching the children about tolerance and multiculturalism. You have been asked to give a talk to the parents of new children about your kindergarten. And your task is to introduce your concept to the parents. Talk about why tolerance is important in our modern world, the importance of tolerance for students, especially, and how schools can teach tolerance to students. And so the important thing here is that you remember that you work at a kindergarten. And yeah, basically that's the role you're playing and you have to talk to parents. And then after that, you move on to a dialogue with your examiner. Talk about young children and tolerance. So after your talk, you stay to talk to the parents and answer questions. They ask you about how parents can teach their children tolerance and why you think this topic should be brought up at such a young age. Use the information from the text teaching children tolerance as well as your own ideas. And then you have the same follow-up discussion text as always. So after the role play, take an active part in a short discussion about the topic tolerance with your examiners. They're going to ask you some questions and you should ask them some questions too. And here we have the input text that is about this exam. And I think at the bottom here I have a link which we forgot to post it in the live chat, but we're going to post it in the video description when the stream is uploaded so that you can download it. But if you want to look at it now, just type into Google Psychology Today how you can see how to raise happy cooperative children. Or teaching children tolerance, and then it should just come up. The title is Teaching Children Tolerance. Okay. Yeah, that's that. Are you ready?
I am.
So, welcome back. Why are you so big?
I don't know.
It looks so...
I think it's...
I feel like the camera is more zoomed in on your face than it is on mine.
Yeah, I have to...
Just go. No, it just kind of looks interesting, doesn't it? Okay, so where were we? So welcome to your exam.
Thank you for having me here.
It's okay. First of all, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, very much so. Mm-hmm. So I'm Katrin. Mm-hmm. I'm 22 years old and currently I work as a plumber. Oh. And Yes, and I think it's a very fun job. You get around a lot. You see the inside of houses a lot.
Yes.
And it's very, very interesting to work mainly with male colleagues. And I think I'm very good at my job. Yes.
I imagine. How did you kind of get into plumbing?
Well, when I was younger, we had a girls' day in school, and so our teachers encouraged us to look at jobs that were really not declared as female, but maybe as male, and just take a chance, the opportunity to go there and have a look at it. And then I went with my uncle, who's a plumber and has a plumber business, and I just thought, okay, that's a real good job. I really don't like having so much contact with people. I'm not really good at talking or selling things or something like that, but I'm good at solving problems in the least amount of time. So
very nice.
I thought that's a good idea.
Yeah, sounds very nice. And just quickly, why do you want to have the Matura? Or what do you want to do with it in the future?
Well, I'm still quite young, so I thought I don't want to change anything right now, but I thought now I have the time to do the Matura and I'm still good at learning, so I think I just want to take the exam and then see what brings it in the future, but I don't have any real ready-made plans right now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So whenever you're ready, just start with task 1.
Okay, so welcome parents. I'm really glad that you came to, that you took on the invitation so that we can present to you our concept of tolerance and upbringing in this kindergarten. So first of all, why tolerance is important in our modern world? I mean, it's basically a very simple question and therefore a very simple answer. So since the globalization has begun, everything melts together, borders are melting and everything grows together. Think about what you're eating. It's not all very Austrian food. You have the kebab you eat sometimes, the pizza, the pasta, and it all is it's all goods from somewhere else. So we teach our children right from the beginning that there's so much more than just our own country, and they think we have to broaden that concept to be more tolerant to not only the food, the people that produce the food, that invented the food, and that come here to work here, to live here, to think here's a great country to live in. And so if we want to have a peaceful and friendly get-together, and if we want to get along together well, we need to be open-minded and tolerant towards the others' thinking, upbringing, attitudes, beliefs. And so especially for students, when they join the kindergarten, when they come here, they have so many new impressions and they learn so many new things. So it's the right point to start here teaching tolerance. It's very important for them that when they're here, that they're not caught in anxiety beliefs or in near concepts of what is foreign, what is right, what is wrong, but that they learn that there's a great variety of things in this world, and that they can start thinking about, oh, I like that, I maybe do not agree with that, but that's okay, they do it, but this is my point of view, and it's okay if others have their point of views. So, and this is very important. So we as a kindergarten, or even when they turn to their schools and join there, it is very important that you respect the different beliefs, and that you maybe that you celebrate holidays together, and that you learn together what the story behind it is, or what the tradition behind it is, so that you learn about the heritages of the very different people that come here, live together, work together. And that's, if we teach that to our children, and this is what we want to do with your children here, then we can create a very peaceful, open-minded community that is worth living in. So, and if you have more questions about our concept, you're very welcome to ask.
Thank you. That was a very, very informative talk. I really know what's going to happen. And one question that I just came up with is, are there any specific exercises or things you do with the children to kind of enhance tolerance?
Well, we do. We start little by, for instance, by reading different fairy tales from different countries, and then see what they teach us, and then see where is common ground and where differences. We also have different language classes where we sing songs and nursery rhymes just to kind of show the children that it's fun learning different culture or getting to know different cultures, but it's basically kind of the same, that every culture has nursery rhymes and every kid knows them. And then also we just try to enforce the picture of everyone being different, but we're still here to...
And it's a good thing.
Yes, that's a good thing. We're still here to for the same goal, to live a happy life and to live happily together. Yes,
Perfect.
That's basically what we try to do.
Wow, so me as a parent, what can I do to teach my children tolerance?
Maybe you can do the same in your everyday life. So for instance, if you go grocery shopping with your kid and then he or she sees a woman with a headscarf, with a veil, then don't just say, oh, I don't know, or I find it stupid. Just talk to your child what the reason might be for that, or where it comes from, or why you think this woman chose to, or even talk to her, say hello. Just don't turn your face on her, and just don't put a negative stamp on it, kind of.
And do you think it's important also that children have kind of friends from different backgrounds?
I think it's very enriching for them, because they give you so much more. I mean, you can share like different memories, different stories, and different food, and just it's so enriching for them because they learn so many new things. And I think it's not a must be. I mean, you're a happy child when you only have Austrian friends. Of course you are. But if you have the chance to invite the Syrian neighbor kid, why not? And then see what happens and see how enriching that can be. So.
And talking about Syria, do you think for kids seeing that whole kind of refugee crisis and kind of people speaking badly about foreigners on TV, or I don't know, somewhere, do you think that has a bad influence on children?
I'm sure it has, because as a kid you believe your parents are always right, and you believe your parents they don't fail. They teach you what is good, what is wrong, and so you kind of admire them and you want to be like them. And so if you teach your children, not even on purpose, but if you say bad things about refugees like over and over again, it just gets stuck in your children's mind. So it really has an effect on them, because they are taking away the chance of making up their own mind.
Yes, I guess you're right about that. I think that's a really complicated topic, especially to talk to children about.
It is, because I think as a parent, you obviously want to speak your mind, but and it's okay to have to be anxious because you don't know how it's developing, but you always have to be aware of what your children are hearing. I mean. you don't swear in front of your children. So don't
That's
talk
true.
bad about
Yeah.
people in front of your children.
Yeah.
And that's really it. It's
Yeah.
not a great magic that you have to do.
That's true. Okay, well, thank you very much for this really, really interesting exam. You're
welcome.
finished.
Okay, thank you.
And we're just going to quickly talk about that. There's not really much to say. As always, Katrin did a very, very good job at showing you how an exam could be done. She stayed in her role, and she also kind of told us that she is a kindergartner right at the beginning, so that we all know, okay, or we all remember, okay, that's the situation. I'm a parent. She's working at a kindergarten, and she told us in a very told me in a very informative way about the concept of this kindergarten, so that I, as a parent, have a lot of information now concerning where my kid is going to be and spend time, which is a good thing. And then also in the dialogue, we had a very, very interesting talk, and it was very much a back and forth kind of motion, but Katrin was talking most of the time, which that's how it should be. It really should be that way, that you, so the person being examined, talk, I don't know, let's say 70-80% of the time, because you're the one that the examiner has to give a mark. So it's not that important what the examiner says, but it's important what you say. It's just kind of, just has to be a kind of a dialogue. And yeah, one thing that we forgot to do was the follow-up discussion. But
Too bad.
that was my fault, but yeah, that's usually just remember to be yourself again and just speak your mind, and yeah, it's really nothing bad about the follow-up discussion. So now let's move on to our second exam, which is about different cultures living together. And I don't know if you remember, but this is also task one of this exam. We also already talked about last week when I told you about note-taking, detailed note-taking. So that's why you might remember this task. So task one here is about ethnic minorities and Austria. Situation: in class you have talked a lot about ethnic minorities in Austria, and you thought that the issue was very interesting and that it would also make a good topic for a presentation you have to hold in your English class. So you are a student and you're holding a presentation in class. Your task is to introduce the topic of ethnic minorities, and you have to talk about what an ethnic minority is, ethnic minorities in Austria, the general attitude of people towards ethnic minorities. So remember those 3 bullet points that have to kind of be included in your presentation. And then you move on to task 2, which is called ethnic minorities and tolerance. So after your talk, you open the discussion up to questions from the students, who ask you about some more information on the benefits of a multicultural, of a multi-ethnic society. Use the information from the attached text, benefits of ethnic diversity, see link below, as well as your own ideas during the conversation. So, and then the follow-up discussion again, which maybe this time we might even do. We'll see what happens. And yeah, this is text here, benefits of ethnic diversity. And again, we will post the link in the video description after the stream. If you want to look at it now, it's from the website eNotes. And yeah, just type in eNotes and what advantages having different racial ethnicities has, or something like that. what advantages ethnic diversity has? Yeah. City diver. Just looking at Catherine typing into the live chat. Yeah, exactly. Perfect. So that's the text. Just to give you some more ideas, if you can't really, or if you've run out of your own ideas. And now I think we're gonna start. Yeah, perfect.
Sure.
All right, welcome back.
Thanks.
Yeah, so once again, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Katrin, and I work in the office of a church, and I do like the mail, and I do the correspondence and answer the phone, and I've been there for about 2 years now.
Perfect, perfect. And are you very religious yourself?
I am religious, but I'm still very interested in other religions because I think that it's so interesting.
Yeah.
Because I think religion is very a big part in many people's lives, and it's so it's such a good thing.
Perfect. And do you want to kind of move on with your job at some time, or what do you want to do with your Matura exam?
I would like to move on in the church area, so maybe teaching religion or just doing workshops with just people from the community. But I see where it will develop. Yes.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much for this introduction. And so whenever you're ready, just start with task 1.
So today I'm going to give you a presentation about ethnic minorities because I think it's a very interesting topic, and we have talked quite a bit about it, and I just wanted to take a deeper look into this topic. So first of all, I want to tell you what an ethnic minority is. And so the definition is that an ethnic minority is a group of people who emigrated to or live in a country where the majority of the people of the population is of different culture. They also can be of different religion or heritage. So, for instance, if you take the African population in France, so they are kind of the black minority there, because usually they emigrated there when they were children with their parents, and so they come from a different country of birth and then emigrated to France. Yes, so there are many ethnic minorities in Austria, and that you can see when you go through Innsbruck, and then you just look around and you see so many different people, and they're not all tourists. And so they have in Austria, we have Turkish people who moved here from the east. There are lots of people from the former Yugoslavia, also a lot of Greek people who moved here, and then as well as Sinti and Roma people. So we have quite of a mixture of ethnic minorities. We also have German people, but I think the difference to put that they are an ethnic minority is very difficult, so I'm just going to leave them out. So most of the ethnic minorities in Austria have lived here for many, many years. So we're talking about the 2nd, 3rd, 4th generation of migrants that we're now meeting, meaning that their great-grandparents have already lived here and were the first ones to come to this country, or that their grandparents, or maybe that their parents were the first ones. But they have a long history of coming here. And so when you see what they have changed is that you can now see that they had an influence on food, that you have like from Hungary a great, which is very historical, of course, but you have a great influence. Then from the Turkish people, you have influence in that section, and that's basically a field where you see that first. When the food changes, it's always a sign for migrants coming to the country. And then so my last point is to talk about the general attitude towards ethnic minorities, and it's very split in Austria. We have many people who think it's a great asset, it's a great chance for Austria to have new people, to have to bringing different cultures together and just take the best of everything. But also we have very negative attitudes towards migrants and foreigners in general. And this is also because there has been a rise in parties that just, in right-wing parties and populist parties in Austria, in Italy, in Hungary, in Germany, and even in the United States. So it's all kind of like a backlash on Austria that just really want to promote these anxieties about being about a threatened Austrian culture, about the threatened Austrian society, that we're kind of overrun by different religions, by different beliefs, by that we are in the future will be giving up our female rights because all foreigners that come in don't have female rights. So it's a very it's a crucial point right now, and this is why I gave this presentation to you so that you can think about it. What is your standpoint on that issue? So do you have any questions?
Well, actually, do you feel like with this whole kind of right-wing wave that's going on at the moment, with people kind of thinking more conservative again, even, and in politics as well, do you think that's a problem for tolerance?
I do think so, yes, because usually now if you see a talk show, or if you see like the posters that are put up in the streets, they really play, like these parties, they really play with the deepest anxieties people have. It's about safety, it's about it's about law, it's about doing right things, and it's about giving up your country. And so and then counter arguments, they really sound very weak. So I think it's a really big problem, because it's like over and over again, and then additionally they use like social media so much to reproduce their ideas. So it's very easy also to play with people's anxieties. I mean, who wouldn't fear that we give up our language? Who wouldn't fear that we give up our culture, our rights? And so it's I think it's a real crucial point, because if you stand up and say then, no, but I'm tolerant, and I think it's okay, everyone should do as they believe, and it's like, but they take away, they rape our children and women, and just like fantasy stories like that.
Yeah, but then actually I think we all know that kind of ethnic diversity has a lot of kind of advantages to it, and what I just had a really good question in my head. Yeah, right. I remember you talking about, for example, the influence on food, which is really interesting, and there's a lot more diversity in food. So what other advantages does multiculturalism have? I
mean, for instance, also the view on how a society should work and how a political system should work, because we have a very narrow-minded view. We are like Western civilization.
Civilization.
Yes. What's the adjective?
Civilized.
civilized, yes. So we're civilized in a Western way, and so if we have people from the Middle East or from the Far East, from Asia, coming here, then they have a new viewpoint on what human rights should be and how they can be brought to our society, or how they can make something good out of it. Because who says our view is the only right one and the best of the best of the best? If we don't talk to people from somewhere else and discuss that with them and get into a real conversation about what is freedom, and is freedom that we force women to take off their headscarf? Is that freedom?
Yeah.
So, but if we just say no, we know what freedom is. I mean, that's not a discussion.
Yeah,
So how should we find new ideas? How should we develop as a country? And I think a standstill is always the worst that could happen.
Yeah, I think especially the whole topic about the headscarves is so difficult, because personally I often feel like I don't want to kind of tell them to take it off, but then again you're starting to think about, is it really true that they're wearing it out of their own will, or is somebody forcing them to?
Yes, but I mean, I do have the same thoughts, but still, if I don't talk to them and if I don't ask why, I won't know.
True.
And the law that was passed in Austria, there was just an article about how effective it was, about the ban that you had see the face. I think it's hilarious actually, because there were only two. I think they had the statistics from Vienna, and there were only 2 Muslims who were recorded or reported to the police, and then there was clowns and mascots of soccer clubs. So I think it's just not effective. You can't work it that way. And how can you teach someone Western goods and beliefs and morals if you just tell them, oh yeah, you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that. So I think dialogue is the only key that we have.
That's very true. And on that note, I think we can move on to the follow-up discussion.
Okay.
Because I have another interesting question for you. Do you feel like Germans think that they are an ethnic minority in Austria, or do you feel like they think that they're very integrated here and they're just kind of at home here?
I sometimes think that Germans are quite arrogant when it comes to Austria. Yeah, because me as a German, when I moved here, my parents couldn't really accept that it's a different country with different laws, with different ways of insuring your car or whatever, and so it is. Very interesting, and also, but then me working in a church office, I think that it also is a very that we're still very close, and I feel that integration was very easy because Austrian people are very welcoming. That's what I experienced, and so I thought religion is also kind of like a reach out, because we had the same topic to talk about, and
that's true.
Yes,
that's true. Okay, well, I thought that was a very interesting topic, because personally I never think about Germans as an ethnic minority or even as like foreigners, just because we speak the same language and we are quite similar. I know we have our differences, but still. So yeah, that's really interesting topic to me.
I mean, I really don't know if you can really have a sharp definition there. Yeah. But then they have different, like we have different bank holidays. Then we do have different food also maybe.
And I guess also Germany is a big country, so there's a difference from south to north as well, right?
Obviously, yeah. I mean, like there is a difference from east to west in Austria.
Exactly.
So it's really, I mean, even calling someone from from Turkey, like this is the ethnic minority.
Yeah.
It's very. I mean, the concept of the ethnic minority is in itself very
strange.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Very wishy-washy.
Yeah.
Kind of like,
yeah. That's true. All right. Well, then, I guess we should all just try to live happily and peacefully together and talk and
And I mean, be open-minded. Or
just at least try to
learn new things. It can be fun, and if they're not fun, then okay, but you don't have to hate them from the start just because they're different.
That's true. Okay, well, I think on that note we'll end our exam. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
No problem. Okay, so another very interesting exam we have here. What I wanted to say about this exam was that, especially in task 1, Katrin did a very good job of structuring her presentation, because as we remember, it was a presentation in class. So that's something that really should have a good structure, and people should be reminded now and then, okay, now we're talking about this, now we're talking about that. So that was a very good job of her. And also, if you remember, she talked about, she used the notes that we made last time, or that we went through last time in our last stream. So if you look at these notes again, you can see how she kind of decided to talk about them and how she decided to integrate them in her monologue. I think that's really it. I don't think there's there's much more to say. Oh yeah, we talked about some kind of grammatical issue. You said, oh no, there was something about an adjective, and so that's really not a big deal either. If you're thinking about a word and it doesn't really come to mind immediately, you can ask your examiner, and it's best if you then come up with it on your own, but still you can ask. It's not that big of a deal. Of course, it's not very good if you just have to ask grammar questions all the time, but 1 or 2 kind of questions are not a very big deal, right? And so that's really all we're going to talk about today. Next week, do we know what's happening next week? We don't really. It's going to be a surprise. So if you're in for a surprise, tune in next time. Again, same time, same place. And until then, we'll see you. Have a good weekend, and bye-bye.